Rhys, a really tough game this afternoon. Sheffield, top 3 team, came to that Cougar Park and put 46 points on us. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I thought they were very good. They're second place, I believe, now, and you can see why. We just can't seem to get a performance against one of these top teams yet. There is still a bit to go, I think, before we can realistically compete with some of these guys toe-to-toe, so to speak. I thought they were very good today. Did obviously a lot of prep on them during the week. I think they moved the footy better than any other team in the competition. I spoke to you about that, didn't I? And I thought they showed glimpses of that today. Had a bit of a chat at half time and we tidied a few bits and pieces up around the ruck and we come out with 12 apiece in the second half. But by then it was just too late.
The game had gone really sort of just early into that second half, hadn't it? But it must have been pleasing for you to go back to back on a couple of sets. And it looked really encouraging at some points as well. I think Chiz had a try disallowed as well for a knock on over the line, but you can't fault them for trying at that point.
Yeah, the boys are having a crack. I thought we started the game pretty well. We had a really good stint there. It was just realistic, like an 18-minute period there, where the wheels fell off, but they had some really great end of sets. They built some pressure there, getting some dropouts, and obviously, they can move the footy. And they got some quality players, and they scored some tries in that little 18-minute period.
That is one thing they do quite well, Sheffield, isn't it? They did sort of pump us a little bit and get the ball back. So many times there was a period where I was sort of writing the live updates for the game, and it felt like we're not at the ball for a while. How do you tackle that?
Yeah, I think they're brewing at it. You can see they're a well-oiled machine. And I think that's the way I can describe that coming up against that. Obviously, that's the difference probably that I've seen between League One and Championship is that you can sort of feel these teams when they're here and the way they play that they've been together a while and they're well drilled and they're fit and they're strong and they're used to the intensity of footy. And I think we're still learning that at times against some of these top teams. I think we've got the hang of it. Obviously, we've got a couple of wins against some of the teams down the bottom. We've won a few games against Bradford and New York in that middle group. But there's sort of 3 or 4 teams at the top there that have been in the playoffs the last couple of years. Or Toulouse that just got relegated. That we just can't. We can't keep the standard of play high enough for the entire 80 minutes yet, like these teams can. And when we sort of take a breath, they go bang, bang, bang. And I think Halifax away was a good example of that. It was fairly close there for the first 22, and then this was again the same there. Just when we take that breath or the intensity drops from us that little bit, just these top teams just keep going, and we're paying the price for that at the moment.
I think we looked at the Sheffield team sheet before the game, and we were going down and sort of marking who'd played Super Leagues, sustained level at Super League as well. And they did have a lot of experience in that team, didn't they?
Yeah, it sounds like they're a quality organisation. They're a quality team. They've been there a long time. These guys have played a lot of footy. I think we had four tries defended by Big Bish on the wing, and there's a reason why he's able to do that. It's because he's played 350 games, a couple hundred of those at Super League level. Chris Wellham inside him. Again, you're talking a decade of Super League there, and that's the biggest challenge that I'm finding when we come up is that the difference between the top of Championship and the bottom. It's such a long division with so many games. I think that's the biggest difference between here and League One. In League One, there's 3 or 4 good teams, and the rest of them are development-based teams, aren't they? And they have their own journey to run. But in this division, you've got some serious players with some serious organisations with some serious players, and we've just got to continue trying to compete with those and get the wins where we can, and obviously make sure we solidify and hopefully make a push for the playoffs, of course. You know what I mean? But we need to get a performance against some of these big teams at some stage.
Performance against a big team. We've got Bradford in 2 weeks' time at the Bash. We all know what happened here last time Bradford came. What's your plan for this week? Is there? We'll have 3 sessions as normal. No game next weekend. Are the boys in for a bit of a tough week, or will you just dissect this game as you normally do, and then put that into the training sessions?
Yeah, no. This week gives me more time to get into them what they need to get into. I think that's what we'll get an opportunity to do this week. Obviously, they had a couple of days off a couple of weeks ago anyway, so they're ready and they're refreshed and everything's on point currently. So yeah, we'll have a good opportunity this week to really rip into it. There's some real simple, basic areas we can continue to improve on. They've just been difficult to to get that improvement due to lack of continuity and time, really. So just get an opportunity to get reps into players and to iron out a couple of little things that are just costing us, and looking at those little periods gives us a real easy focal point as well. So we'll train hard this week, yes.
And just wrapping up today, you missed some of the fans today. Just tell us what you're doing up there in the changing rooms with the guys.
Yeah, so essentially, I apologise. To the fans. I should have got down here earlier, but there was a lot of small conversations that needed to be had within the playing group today. I think there was a lot of people that were at different stages after that performance. I think some of the boys played really, really well. Some of the system stuff worked well sometimes. Some of the other boys didn't play so well in patches, and there was just a lot of small communications there that probably took a lot longer than traditionally would. So had a fair bit of that to get done, and a lot of the boys wanted a lot of information. Obviously, by the time I'd finished that, and just missed that opportunity. So I apologise. I need to make that streamline that process a little bit more, because I do think it's important. And I was just speaking to a couple of them upstairs, Bomber and Davina and that upstairs, and Scott Lindsay, and speaking to them about footy. And that's an important part of our club, and I think it's important. I don't want to lose that connection between me and the fans, and the players and the fans, no doubt. And that's an area that we can continue to develop and improve. But yeah, so I'll just make sure that I keep an eye on that in the future.
Thanks for your honesty, Rhys. Cheers.
Cheers.